a woman and you have an 8-year-old or a 3-month-old or a baby sitting next to you, that is your most important job. There is nothing that matters more than the passing of wisdom from our generation to that which is below us. Equally important, not just us passing our wisdom, but us receiving and acknowledging the child in front of us without the lens of don't talk, don't be loud, don't do this, don't do that, no, no, no. Rather, let me enhance and bring forward your nature. And what better tool than astrology to identify that child's nature and your parenting style. So we have 2 topics today. One is batteries are included. There's no instruction manual for that kid. Well, that's not true. If you have a chart of a child, they set you free in being able to facilitate their uniqueness versus the parent bringing their style, their rhythm, their taste buds, and imposing it on the kid, and then the kid feeling inadequate because they can't live up to those. That's what happened to me. Okay, so yes, this is being recorded, and yes, we're going to share this with you, Lauren. Okay, so it goes like this. Your soul makes a contract to incarnate. First, let's talk about you as a mom. I love that on an airplane they say, put your oxygen tank on first before you put the oxygen on your child, because you've got to do this first. It doesn't matter what you think about your child being enlightened or wise or whatever. If as a parent you don't understand them and facilitate them because you didn't take care of you, we have nowhere to go. Oh, that's so beautiful, Elvin. My children are the reason I took Debra's course. Such an amazing resource for parents. Okay, so you take care of the mom first, and here's how this looks. As a parent, your prayer from the moment you conceive, I did this throughout my entire pregnancy. Let me bring in a being more conscious than me, that I can be its student as well as its teacher. That was my everyday prayer. Let me bring in a being more conscious than me, that I can be its student as well as its teacher. That's how I started. So if you begin with, let me facilitate this being, let me bring forward a being, let me pray and let the angels know before conception, this would be the best thing to do. I'm interested in being a facilitator and a guardian for a being that will give me the gift of being a mother and give me the gift of being a student. That's the beginning. Let me bring in a being more conscious than me, that I can be its student as well as its teacher. And boy, did I get that. Okay, so in comes this being. And during the pregnancy practice, there too is an incredible opportunity to do your prayers and surrender to the forces that be, because the birth time and the birth date and that baby's soul and that baby's incarnation, which I don't believe happens until there's all kinds of controversy. Like it happens in 3 months, the incarnation happens. It happens at the moment of birth, the incarnation happens. We don't know. But the short answer is that being is stalking you. It's coming forward to see you because you've got a contract. That's the simple beginning. You first have a contract with yourself as a being to say yes to your incarnation, saying yes to motherhood, and then or fatherhood, and then you consciously look at that being in pregnancy, and you make a practice, which is what I did every single day, holding my tummy, blessing this being. So excited to meet you. Then comes the birth, which I personally believe in home births, but that's just I'm crazy because I have total trust that particularly in the pregnancy game and or birthing game, it's gone on since the beginning of time. And for us to think that we are in control of that practice is not true. Yes, we can help if there's a crisis, but there's a much greater trust in my being for nature and the natural occurrences than imposing medical on top of it. That's your call. So then comes the birth, which is also a very powerful, we're not going to talk about that today. There's a lot to be said about the value of a natural birth, which I did in the water. Okay, I would have loved to have been your doula. That was one of my very deepest callings, to be a doula. My experience is that consciousness is immediate. I had a huge flash of knowing in the moment of conception and was given his name and sex. Doris, that's amazing. So that can happen to some people, not everyone. People have abortions, and sometimes the lesson is to let go. That's another whole topic. There's conscious birthing and there's conscious letting go, which is what abortion could be if we were only willing to do ritual around it. Okay, and that is a heartbreak. Thank you, Liz. Okay, Then comes this baby, and it's sitting in front of you, and your whole system, including your hormones, are developed to give yourself permission to fall madly in love. As you all know, there's a hormone that goes off in the body that when you're nursing, it's whatever it's called, and it makes you gaga goo goo. It's the craziest energetic that happens when you're nursing. Like, it's literally a feel good hormone, oxytocin, that comes out of your body that says, let me give this being my full devotion. Why do you think Goddess did that? And why do you think she made our breasts be the tool? So it's on our hearts, it's in the heart chakra that we're blessing this being. So it starts there. The first thing you should do, if I were you, which is what I did the minute that baby came out, was give me the chart. So this is all supporting the reason why you study astrology is as much about your personal expression. Yes, it always comes first. It's equally important that you know your kid and your husband. If you don't understand their nature, how are you to facilitate the evolution of that species, that particular unique particle of the species? Because you're imposing. No, I want to know who that is. Me too, Doris. My eyes never left that clock in the delivery room. I was the same way, Doris. It was ridiculous. I had the chart. I was saying out loud when the baby came out how to turn the computer on. Me too, Courtney. Oh, I love it. I love so many. There's 250 of you. I love that so many of you were waiting. And of course, I thought my baby was going to be a Pisces. He was born one day into Aries, and and he was 3 weeks late. So I spent the entire Pisces constellation waiting for my baby to come forward. And no, he had a whole different agenda. So number one rule in parenting, you are not in control. That's the first thing you must learn. This being has come in to teach you some lessons, and you're not in control. The birth time, the sign, anything but the name. You have the voice of giving that being a name, but mostly people that really know their baby's name, they're hearing it from their soul talking to them. In Africa, they walk by a pregnant woman. I love the story. And the shaman or the seer looks at the pregnant woman, hears the sounds, hears the voice of the baby, gives that baby a name, and tells the mother about the essence of that baby before the baby's brought into the physical form. Because of course they're carrying their essence, and of course they picked you. Okay, who is that just said that? When you found me all those years ago. So now, when baby comes out, your job is to get the chart done. So first things first, let's go get the chart. Now, as a parent, I'm going to facilitate and I'm going to nurture this child on their terms. So for example, you get a water baby. And by the way, it's not just the sun sign. That's the thing that you need to learn. If the baby has sun in Pisces, but 5 planets in Capricorn, which is what happened in 1989, then they're not really a classical Pisces. They've got 5 planets in Capricorn. So that's a completely different conversation. You need to go find out, what color is this baby? Is it red, fire? Is it blue, water? Is it green, earth? Is it yellow, air? What's the nature of this baby as a predominant element? And yes, you can see that in the chart. And yes, you can get a reading done by our certified astrologers. Any of you that want your children's chart done, there's nothing more important. That's this whole webinar, is you go get your child's chart done and you understand. So let's say you have a baby who's, I'm just going to use generalities because I don't want you to get stuck in the chart yet. Let's say you have a baby that's super sensitive. It's very clingy. It's water. It doesn't want to be with anyone but the mom and the dad and be at home. It doesn't like to go to parties. It doesn't want to be social. It's a Klingon. It's a Velcro baby, which they all are. But at a certain point, they want to go away or they're more independent. That baby needs touch, and you need to be physical with it, and you need to put soft music on, and you need to use lavender and use that yummy, soft cow's fluffy blanket. What's that called? Sheepskin. And put the smell of lavender or a baby essence that they put together, and put those babies love that. Okay, that's a water baby. Let them be touched, let them have smells, let them have classical music, let them have quiet time. Do not rush, do not push. I had one of those babies. You can't make them go out and be handed to other people. That's just the nature of the beast. That's a water baby. It happens all through their life. They want to be close to their mom. They want to be close to their pet. They want to be close to their bedroom. They want you to close the door. They need insular, enveloped feelings to make them feel comforted. They don't want space. Okay, it doesn't matter what the sun sign is or the planets. You'll know. I'm starting with a generality. Of course, when you study astrology, you'll take the dive to find out what the specifics are. I'm giving you a generality so everyone can relate to this. If you have an air child, they don't sleep well. They're electric. They're awake all the time energetically. Their eyes are darting. They're highly stimulated. They love being handed to other people. They love socializing. They're the little 2-year-olds that you take to a restaurant and they start to walk to every table and say hello to everybody. That air child has an incredible desire for socialization. And if you're a parent who doesn't like to be around people, you've got a problem. And those little babies are charisma. The water babies are like, don't look at me, put me in a warm spot, keep the thing tight, close the drapes, leave me in my room. The air kid is constantly looking to call somebody, put the phone on. They start things, they don't finish things. They're multitaskers and they need social stimulus. And they talk incessantly, even as a little infant. They're the ones that just go on and on and on. And they know what clothes they want to wear. And they wear the weirdest clothes. And they don't want you to dress them. That's an air child. Let them have their style. Stop telling them what to wear. As early as 3 years old, that kid's telling you what they want to wear. And they're picky. The water kid loves when you put them in clothes and make sure the clothes are soft. The worst thing you can do to water kid is make them wear dress up clothes that, oh my God, my son used to pull the thing when he was little. Oh my God, he hated it. So funny. So air kids require space, they require stimulus, they require puzzles, they require lots of books, they require lots of stimulus. Yeah, and they won't stay in the bed. You've got to read to them to put them to sleep. Here I am, that's how it goes. And they want to hear the same stories and they memorize the stories and you got to get some more books and they love to go to the library and that's your job now. So let's say you're a water person who hates all that stuff. Not anymore. Nothing matters more than as the parent, you put your ego, okay, ready? Announcement. Parenting is the quickest shortcut to destroying your ego. You will have no ego at the end of this movie. It's not about you, not about your preferences, not about your timing, not about your sleep, not about your body, not about your diet, not about your exercise. It's all about them. So if you've got a baby who has diarrhea of the mouth, then you need to know your ego will now have to listen to this baby. And you will say to that child at the age of 5, can I write the things down, the questions you have, because I can't keep up. You don't have to match them, but you have to identify it, tag it. Water baby, it's okay if a water baby says, I don't want to go to the party. That's so radical. If you have an air baby, they can't wait to go to the party. Okay, let's go to the earth baby. This one is not an easy kid. They're stubborn, they're steady, their food is everything. The food can't touch the other food. They don't want you to touch their toys. They don't like to share. This is the kid that grabs the toy back and goes, no. And you're like, why is this kid being so controlling? It's a control factor. You must allow them and say, I see you don't want to share your toys. One of the tricks to being a really good parent, I call it echoing or amplifying is a better word. The kid says, I don't want to share my toy. And then you repeat, you don't want to share your toy. You don't say, oh, honey, you have to share your toys. It's so bad. You say to them, you don't want to share your toy. When the kid feels repeated, acknowledged, echoed, matched, you have their attention. When the kid feels a clash where you're trying to impose on them your idea, so just, it doesn't mean you're not going to bring them over to your camp of being kind, but you're going to acknowledge to the earth kid, wow, you hate sharing. Yes, I do. Okay, well, now I see why. I can see that. And you know what? Part of what life's about is sharing, but you don't like to do it. So what are we going to do? Okay. The earth kid needs permission to have their own stuff in their room, not share, have their food not touch, have the picky flavors, and they want a job. At a very young age, you say to an earth kid, can you sweep and give them a little broom and a little table to make things? They're so happy. The fire kid, this is the kid that has to be allowed to have excessive energy. You want to go outside every single day with them? Yes. This is the kid that needs you to raise your voice. You don't, when a fire kid gets pissed off at you and starts to say mean things, you don't say, don't scream. You say, yeah, you're pissed off, aren't you? And then you have to match their energy. You cannot succumb to a fire kid and become submissive because they're bullying you. You bully them back so they get a taste of their own medicine. And then you stop and go, I don't want to fight. You ask the air kid for permission. No, you never ask a kid for permission. That's like the worst thing you can do. You ask the kid, let's say they're not sharing. You say to them, you're don't like to share, and I need you to hear this. The kids here need you to share. Are you willing? It's not like the biggest mistake modern day parents do, and I am seeing it firsthand right now in my life, is they give the kid the power, especially an only child, because they don't want to have to deal with their sensitivity, water, their over talking, air, their over need for money and security and control, earth, and their wild spirit and anger, fire. Kids cannot be given permission to go off and express that at the expense of you. However, you first match it and you go into rapport with them. Then once you've got the rapport, you insert, not with permission, but with a directive. I'm going to share with Tommy. You don't have to. And if you want to go in your room and play by yourself, do it. But I'm sharing with Tommy. It doesn't matter, Ruby, whether I'm talking about their sun sign, their moon, or their rising. People come with generalities as far as their personality type. And very quickly, you'll see the predominant element. It shows up. I'm a therapist. I have a master's in clinical psychology. So part of my interest is not just astrology, because then you get stuck on the chart. I want you to think more like, you know what, my kid's fire. I don't know how this happened, but he's so loud and he's so energetic and he's always arguing. Some fire kids bite. Some fire kids scream. Some fire kids have tempers. That's their element. Yes, Ruby. So first thing is you match it. You match the energy. You look at the air water kid and you go, oh, I'm so sorry. You're so sensitive. Can I give you a hug? And if they say no, you just go quiet. If it's the air kid who can't stop talking and it's driving you crazy, you say to the air kid, oh my God, you love to talk. I'm loving these stories. I can't listen right now. Can I write some of this down? Can we remember what you want to talk about later? Because right now, mom has to talk, but I don't want to cut you off. So just remind me, is this about the peanuts? We're talking about peanuts? I'm going to write it down. Is that okay with you? Yes, good. You enroll them. And yeah, see, there's a great example. Danielle knew her 3-year-old was water as soon as the day, you know instinctively your child's chart. It helps to have the chart reflect it or echo it. And of course, you're going to know your child as you put yourself into meditation. That's another way to access the information. Yes, the fire child. Too loud, too energetic, too pushy, has a bad temper. You match them. You don't say to the fire kid, you don't succumb. Like first thing you do is you say, here's my version. And I think some of you have heard this before. I call it the mean mom. I had a fire kid. The mean mom would come out when I reached a pitch where the child wasn't listening to me. And I'd warn and say, uh-oh, here comes mean mom. So here's how I did it. I had a double Aries sun. And he was manipulating me because he had enough water in his chart to know how to cry and whine and get me going because I couldn't stand that noise. So finally, one day we were out in the woods and he must have been, I want to say he was 2 or 3. No, he had to be 2. No, it was before we left Vancouver. So he was like 1.5 years. This is such a crazy story. Wow. 1.5 years or 2. And we were walking through the woods and he wouldn't walk. He wanted me to carry him. And finally, I knew I had to do this. I pushed him down, not hard, and I put my finger in his chest and I said, I'm going to use my voice to scare you. And I screamed his name, Daniel, so loud. He started to shake and cry. And I said, don't ever make me use that voice again. Get up. And he gets up and I say, now listen, that's mean mom. That's what happens when you make me angry. I don't want to be mean mom. So then we went on and then maybe it was a day or 2 later or whatever, he started whining and I said, do you want mean mom? No, I don't want mean mom. So I programmed the fear of his fire being matched. Now, that was producing, he started off with water, but I knew his control factor was fire because I knew his chart. And I nipped it in the bud and said, you are not in control. I'm the mom. And then somewhere down the road at about 3, I remember sitting him down at 4 at preschool and saying to him, listen, I want you to hear this. See the food you're eating, see the clothes you're wearing, see the school that you're at, see the car that we're driving. All that's because of me. You need me. So you want me on your team because you can't do anything without me. Therefore, I'm going to listen to you and you're going to listen to me, and we are not going to argue, double Aries. So it's a real art to knowing how to powerfully establish you're the centerpiece, you're in charge, you have control. And my son, his father passed away, and at one point, someone asked him, what was it like to be raised by a single mom? And he said, my mom was a really good dad. I knew how to draw boundaries by matching the child where they live on their terms and acknowledging them first, then inserting the behavior because I was the parent that set the standards. But you must start by acknowledging the parents, must acknowledge the child. You must acknowledge and verbalize and tag it. I call it tagging. You tag it like, whoa, you're angry, or whoa, you're sad, or oh my God, you don't like sharing, or wow, you like to talk. You really love giving me all these words. And you know what? I love listening to you. And right now I have to listen to your dad because he's talking. So give me a minute. I want to hear what you're going to say, but we can't do it right now.